Okay, I am so excited because I had something amazing happen that hasn't happened in quite some time. So this week I was invited to be on the TMI show. So the TMI show, it is with Mysonne and Tamika Mallory. And let me tell y'all. So first of all, I was traveling, just came back from Atlanta, and I saw in my, inbox, it was like, hey, we're inviting you up to New York for the day. We have a podcast. And it was crazy because recently I met them at Black Girls Vote Ball. And so while I was at the ball, I saw Tamika. Tamika was being honored. And I went ahead and introduced myself just because I'm very familiar with them. I know who they are. I know they're activists. I know what they do for the community.
I fight for civil rights because my community doesn't have the luxury of pretending everything is fine. Every day, families are navigating systems designed to fail us. From policing to housing to healthcare, we are in a state of emergency.
And so I said, hey, I'm Kalila. This is what I do. I have a brand, whatever. And, they were familiar with me as well. And so, that was it. And so I was really surprised when I got that email about being on the podcast. And the podcast was about, it's like what you're supposed to be. And it was really highlighting, the fact that so many people front on social media like they're supposed to be something that they're not. And it's, look, there was so much shit. There was so much of a message that I didn't get to say that I needed to say. But, I think we're in such a tough time, whether it's like, it's like that borderline between fake it till you make it. And like being transparent and honest. Like people are always telling me like, oh, I'm so thankful that you are so transparent. And I'm like, it's easier said than done because being transparent comes with a lot of criticism. And I know that me sharing my message and me telling people, that is what has created now this platform for me. And this is exactly why people listen to me and watch me. And I'm grateful for that. But I'll tell you, it doesn't come easy. It is easier, I feel like, on social media to act as if you're something that you are not, just because it's easy to do that. But when you are really transparent, when you're showing your inner workings of things, especially things that you're failing at, and then to know that you have millions and zillions, like social media, the shit spreads like wildfire. Like if it's something negative, if it's something that is a mess, people are clicking, they're liking, they're sharing, they're commenting, and they're judging, and and all of that. And so, I could truly understand why people front on social media and they act as if they're not something that they supposed to be, because it's easier. It's just easier for you to not. But it reveals a lot about yourself. So I was really grateful to be able to go to New York and just talk about that and just highlight that, our life is about ebbs and flows. It is about business is about, like ups and downs, highs and lows, but because social media is just such a 1-minute video of the mess, that's all people see. And that's all people glorify. And that's all people share as well. So I was just happy that I was able to be on the podcast, and it really is highlighting the work that I'm doing these days with my transparency and with me being able to say a lot of things out loud for entrepreneurs who are struggling with being their authentic selves on social media and allowing their message and truly the things that they need to share to be a highlight in which helps them to sell, to present, and to be better into the world. Like, you don't have to lie and act like what you're not, just to sell product or just to be able to show up on social. So I think that, like I said, I'm grateful for me being able to be honest and that the work that I'm doing is being highlighted within this platform. As I'm in here editing this video, I wanted to say this really quick. This is what I forgot to mention on the podcast. Listen, there was a time when Tabitha Brown, she came on and she told Black women, like, listen, if you got to go back into the workforce, go back into the workforce. And that was like the thing that I wish I said on the podcast. So I want to make sure that I say it here and say it now. We need to be in a space as entrepreneurs, as people, to pivot and pivot quickly and to be in survival mode. Meaning, if shit ain't working out, if things are a mess within your business or if things are a mess within your life, like, don't be afraid to step outside and do something different, or, like, go back to something. Like, I've seen entrepreneurs and people move back home with their family, move back home with their parents, with their kids, with their spouses. Like, I think that social media has us in this place where it's like, oh, okay, if you flashy, if you this, if you that, like, you can't reinvent yourself or you can't start back over, and you have to kind of keep that stuff secret. And I think that's kind of what's wrong with society right now, is we're not giving people the grace and the space to trip through life and to fall forward through things. It's just not that easy. And the reality of it is that shit is going to be a mess. You're going to restart. You're going to try again. You're going to make a mess while doing it. And that's all right. And so I think that with this podcast, I want to make sure that, I highlight that. Not what it's supposed to be, is really us giving ourselves permission to be ourselves on social media and not hide the truth from the world. It is okay to say that I messed up financially. I mean, of course, you want to make sure that you doing things, fixing things, and that you're not continuing to be a mess in those particular areas. But I just want to say that if you make a mess financially, if you make a mess with your relationship, and it's not just about going ahead and telling everybody your ins and out and your business and all that type of stuff. I get it. That's, like, you should keep things personal or keep things in your friend group. But at the end of the day, I think that there's a level of, like, transparency and openness that you can give to still be able to, so that the world knows that you're not a fraud, that you're human. I want to continue to humanize being human. Social media has us fucked up, in which you are having to be perfect all the time in every single, in every single space of your life. And that's just not true. It's not. So my goal and my message is to humanize being a human through social media. And so another really cool thing about this trip, so the podcast is in New York. I'm in Baltimore. So I was able to drive up to New York City, and I took one of my students, my former students from when I used to teach. And, she was my, like, sort of intern for the day. And it was just, again, really great. She's in fashion. And it was just super dope that me being a teacher several years ago, I developed a relationship with some of my students in which they still rock with me, like, to this day. And so the fact that she was able to come with me to New York and to kind of film and do content and support me on my journey, and, while I was in New York, really meant a lot to me. All right, and then here. All right, and then I think that's it. Yeah. All right, and then we'll. Yep.
And you right there.
Yep, just in case I wanna.
And this one.
What did I put? That's just for me to put on camera.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then that's it. Yeah. All right. And yeah, I think I talked about this a little bit on the podcast, but I think that as your career is developing or things are changing, sometimes people are not checking for you. I haven't gotten an email to, like, be featured on something, be at something in a minute. So when I got that call and they're like, hey, you want to come to New York? I'm like, say less. I will be there, because those are sort of the little things that people don't tell, like, that pushes you forward. Someone hearing about you, seeing something about you, like, those little things keep the fire lit and keep you going another day. So I was ecstatic that I was able to be on the podcast and that I was featured, talking to Tamika Mallory, talking to Mysonne about this topic, and just even again sharing the fact that, mentally and emotionally, when you're not hot no more and when shit is hard and you are struggling, it can really cause a mental breakdown for you if you are not honest with yourself and if you're just creating like sort of this facade and this lie for social media. So I had an amazing time on the podcast. I feel like this was a very pinnacle point in my career right now because it is helping me to sort of shape the path and the message that I really want the world to get from the work that I'm doing. And I think that there is a lot that I can now like sort of, it's starting to become clear to me. And that's where I think that this podcast is like one of like sort of the lines, like lifeline to help, like push me further down the road. And so this was good. It was good. New York was good. The hardest freaking part was driving to New York and then turning right back around and going to Baltimore. My boyfriend does most of the driving. So when I have to go and for Dolo and I'm doing, baby, I could have passed on all of that driving, but it was, we made it back and I got back and I'm just grateful. It's the holidays. This is like the perfect season and time, just to keep being like, inspired by everything around you. And also just for you to continue like knowing that your message into the world is not dead. People do see you. And I think that that's also it. Like it's confirmation that you may not know your steps or what you're ordained to do, but the world is seeing you, God is seeing you, and it is kind of like it's still laying your path. So don't give up on what you're destined to be. Like you have to just keep listening to the messages. The messages are out there and it's going to keep you going. And that's kind of what I am, understanding. And that's definitely the path that I am on. So I'm grateful. I'm going to link in the bio the actual show that if you guys want to watch my podcast on, TMI, I would love for you guys to listen. All right. So yes, New York. Thank you guys for having me. It was a short, quick trip, but it was well worth it just to be on the TMI podcast.